Am I the bad guy for telling an exchange student to not date my son and possibly ending my marriage? I want to share a story that has turned my life upside down in ways I never expected. It all started a few days ago when I, a 40-year-old mother of two, found myself in a situation that could potentially end my marriage. My son, Toby, who is 19, has been exhibiting some troubling behavior, and it all came to a head when I had to confront an exchange student about dating him. To give you some background, Toby has been spoiled by my husband, who tends to indulge him in ways that I believe have led to some concerning attitudes, especially towards women. My husband often brushes off my concerns, insisting that he's just a teenager. But I've seen the way Toby interacts with women, and it worries me deeply. There was even an incident where he harassed our Asian cleaner, which led to her slapping him across the face. My husband wanted to press charges, but I threatened to leave him if he did. I didn't want to uproot my daughter Liz, who is just 12, so I took matters into my own hands, giving the cleaner a bonus and hiring an older man to replace her. I've been saving money secretly for a divorce, planning to leave my husband once Liz goes to college. But the recent events made me reconsider my timeline. I realized that the problematic behavior I was witnessing in Toby might stem from my husband's own attitudes toward women. As a Latina, I've experienced my share of challenges, and I've worked hard to create a supportive community around me. My friends keep an eye on Toby when we're out, and I've tried to instill values of respect and kindness in him. Recently, our neighbor hosted an exchange student named Kimmy, who is bright, cheerful, and full of life. Liz adored her, and I could see that Toby was smitten. They started spending time together, and I felt a mix of hope and dread. I wanted to believe that Kimmy could be a positive influence on Toby, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he might not treat her well. One day, while having tea with Kimmy and my neighbor's wife, Kimmy asked if she could date Toby. I froze. I felt compelled to speak up, so I told her the truth about Toby. I explained how he had treated women in the past and how his father had enabled that behavior. I wanted to protect Kimmy from potential heartbreak and disappointment. I also assured her that if she ever needed support, I would be there for her. After that conversation, Kimmy started to distance herself from Toby. When she came over to pick up Liz for a shopping trip, Toby tried to greet her, but she ignored him. I could see the hurt in his eyes, and it broke my heart. In a moment of frustration, I told him that his behavior was the reason Kimmy was avoiding him. I reminded him that I had tried to teach him to be a gentleman, but he and his father had made it difficult. That's when everything spiraled. Toby stormed off to his room, and I received a text from my husband, furious with me for sabotaging our son. I replied that I was tired of Toby treating women like objects, and that my husband had played a role in enabling that behavior. The tension in our home was palpable. I felt like I was walking on eggshells, unsure of what would happen next. In an attempt to defuse the situation, I reached out to my neighbor's wife and asked if Liz and Kimmy could sleep over at their place. My neighbor, a big guy, offered to come over and mediate the situation, which I gladly accepted. I was scared and shaking, feeling like I had just detonated a bomb in my marriage. As I waited for my husband to come home, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. I had warned Kimmy out of love and concern, but at what cost? I knew I had to stand up for my values, but I also feared that I might have just imploded my family. All I could do was hope that my actions would lead to a better understanding of respect and kindness in my son. Even if it meant facing the consequences of my choices, I find myself reflecting on a situation that spiraled out of control, leaving me questioning my decisions and the impact they've had on my family. It all started when I felt compelled to warn an exchange student about my son, Toby. Little did I know that this warning would lead to significant turmoil in my marriage. Toby, my son, has a troubling history. He's been expelled from school twice for inappropriate behavior towards staff and peers. Despite my efforts to guide him toward healthier social interactions, like encouraging him to join clubs or sports, he resisted every attempt. It seemed like he preferred isolation, and I was left feeling helpless. I even sought professional help, having him tested for various mental health conditions, but the results indicated he was neurotypical. As a mother, I was deeply concerned about Toby's behavior, especially as it began to affect his sister, Liz. She confided in me that she felt uncomfortable having friends over because she feared Toby might act inappropriately. This was alarming, and I knew I had to take action to protect her. When I learned that an exchange student was interested in Toby, I felt an overwhelming urge to intervene. I reached out to the student, expressing my concerns about Toby's past and his potential to cause harm. I thought I was acting in Liz's best interest, but the fallout was immediate and intense. My husband was furious with me for what he perceived as an overreaction. He felt I was damaging our family by creating unnecessary conflict. In the weeks that followed, I found myself increasingly isolated. My husband dismissed my worries, and any attempts I made to discuss Toby's behavior were met with resistance. I felt like I was fighting a losing battle, and my frustration grew. It became clear that my husband was enabling Toby's behavior rather than addressing it, which only deepened my sense of despair. As I navigated this difficult situation, I sought advice from friends and family, and even turned to online communities for support. Many people echoed my concerns, urging me to take a stand for Liz's safety. They encouraged me to consider the possibility of leaving my husband, which was a thought I had been wrestling with for some time. After much contemplation, I made the difficult decision to file for divorce. I took Liz back to my home country for a much-needed break and to spend time with her cousins. During this trip, I consulted with lawyers who began drafting the divorce paperwork. They also advised me to explore the option of a protective order against both Toby and my husband, given their concerning behaviors. I knew that this decision would not only affect me, but would also have a profound impact on my children. I felt torn about leaving Toby behind, but I had to prioritize Liz's safety and well-being. The thought of potentially gaining full custody of her weighed heavily on my mind, especially since my husband's enabling behavior posed a significant risk. While I was in my home country, I took the time to talk with my family about everything that had transpired. They provided me with the support I desperately needed. I also made sure to check in with Liz about her feelings and experiences, reassuring her that she could always come to me with any concerns. Now, as I reflect on this journey, I realize that I'm at a crossroads. This situation has forced me to confront the realities of my marriage and the safety of my children. I may not have all the answers, but I know that I must continue to advocate for Liz and ensure she grows up in a safe and nurturing environment. As I move forward, I remain uncertain about what the future holds. I hope to find peace and resolution, whether that means continuing to share updates or simply finding closure in this chapter of my life. Thank you to everyone who has offered support and guidance throughout this challenging experience. Your words have given me the strength to take the necessary steps to protect my family. Life can take unexpected turns, and sometimes it feels like a roller coaster ride we never signed up for. I found myself in a whirlwind of emotions and decisions that would change my family's life forever. It all started when I realized that my son, Toby, was struggling with some serious issues. His behavior had become concerning, and I knew I had to take action for the sake of my family. As a mother, it was heartbreaking to witness Toby's decline. He was exhibiting signs of emotional distress, and I felt powerless to help him. I knew that enabling his negative behaviors would only lead to more pain for him and for us as a family. I had to make a choice, to protect my children and myself from the chaos that was unfolding. After much contemplation, I decided to take a bold step. I served my husband divorce papers, a decision that came after years of feeling trapped in a toxic environment. I moved myself and my daughter Liz into a safe space, away from the turmoil. It was a relief to finally break free, but the road ahead was still fraught with challenges. Just 2 days after we moved, Toby experienced a mental breakdown. He was found outside of Liz's school, distressed and in need of help. It was a wake-up call for everyone involved. He was taken to the hospital for a psychiatric evaluation, and I was left feeling a mix of sorrow and hope. I couldn't help but feel for him as I watched him cry, expressing confusion over his emotions and actions. It was a moment that tugged at my heartstrings. During his time in the facility, I made the decision to be there for him, but with boundaries. I attended his therapy sessions and listened as he apologized for his past behavior. It was clear that he was beginning to understand the impact of his actions, but I also knew that healing would take time. I needed to prioritize my own well-being and that of Liz while still supporting Toby in his journey toward recovery. I worked closely with the doctors to find a suitable facility for him, emphasizing that returning to his father would not be beneficial for his healing process. I wanted Toby to have the tools he needed to cope with his emotions and to eventually lead a fulfilling life. I even encouraged him to explore online classes, hoping to reignite his passion for learning. As I navigated this challenging chapter, I received an outpouring of support from friends and even strangers online. Many offered words of encouragement and advice, reminding me that I was not alone in this fight. I realized that I had been too hard on Toby, and I planned to express my understanding and support in my next message to him. While I was focused on Toby's recovery, I couldn't ignore the silence from my husband. It was unsettling, and I worried about what his next move might be. But for now, I chose to embrace the calm and stability that I had found for myself and Liz. We were safe, and that was what mattered most. As I reflect on this journey, I am filled with hope for the future. I know that healing is a process, and I am committed to supporting my children through it all. With time, patience, and the right support, I believe that we can emerge stronger than ever. Thank you to everyone who has been a part of this journey with me. Your encouragement means the world, and I look forward to sharing more positive updates in the future. Hello, everyone. I want to share my journey over the past few months. A time filled with challenges, growth, and a lot of support from the community. It all began when I found myself in a difficult situation regarding my son Toby and my daughter Liz. As a mother, I always wanted the best for my children, but life threw some unexpected curveballs our way. After a series of events, I made the decision to separate from my husband. It wasn't an easy choice, but I knew it was necessary for the well-being of my kids and myself. The first step was finding a job that would allow me to support Liz while still being present in her life. I applied for part-time work, which was a challenge, but I was determined to save for an apartment. Thankfully, the person I was staying with was incredibly understanding and supportive, allowing me to help out around the house in return. Liz was doing well, but I recognized that she needed additional support, especially with the upcoming divorce. I started looking for a therapist who could provide her with a safe space to express her feelings. It was important for me to ensure she had someone to talk to who wasn't directly involved in our family dynamics. As for Toby, things were looking up as well. After some time and effort, we found a suitable facility for him. He now shares a dormitory with other boys his age, which has been a positive change for him. He has his own space, a communal area, and the opportunity to make friends. We decided on weekly video chats to stay connected, and I was relieved to hear that he was enjoying his time there. He was enrolled in online classes for the upcoming spring and was attending therapy sessions twice a week, which I hoped would help him unpack his feelings. Now, let's talk about my ex-husband. His lawyer advised him that he wouldn't have much of a case against me due to the evidence I had gathered over the years, including the state of Toby and testimonies from character witnesses. Faced with the reality of child support obligations and the likelihood of losing custody, he made the surprising decision to terminate his parental rights to Liz. While it was unexpected, I felt it was a step in the right direction. Although his rights aren't fully terminated yet, he has supervised visitation with Liz every 2 weeks, though he rarely shows up. It seemed he believed that by not attending, he could expedite the termination process. Regarding our assets, my lawyers informed me that the courts would likely favor me due to the evidence of emotional and financial abuse. Since we didn't have a prenuptial agreement, I anticipated a fair division of assets, but I was more focused on moving forward rather than what I could gain. As I navigated through this tumultuous period, I won't pretend it was easy. I still have moments of anxiety, especially concerning Liz and Toby. However, I have been fortunate to have a supportive network of friends and neighbors who remind me that I'm making the right choices. I even received a heartwarming card from Kimmy, an old neighbor who recognized my story. It brought a smile to my face and reminded me that I'm not alone in this journey. Looking ahead, I am considering therapy for myself, but I want to wait until after the divorce is finalized. I believe that taking care of my mental health will be crucial as I continue to navigate this new chapter in my life. Thank you to everyone who has offered their support throughout this journey. Your encouragement has meant the world to me, Liz and Toby. I'm hopeful for the future and committed to doing my best for my children. This will likely be my final update on our situation, but I appreciate all of you who have followed along and offered your kindness. Here's to resilience and new beginnings.